This is the town of Whitesburg in Letcher County, Kentucky. It's a place where folks get to know each other because there just aren't a ton of people living here. Even smaller is the local criminal justice community where everyone knows everyone. That's why no one suspected anything violent or dangerous was going to happen when the local judge, Kevin Mullins, and the local sheriff, Mickey Stines, had a closed-door private meeting inside the judge's chambers. But what happened next shook this small town to its core. The sheriff shooting and killing the judge. All of it recorded on video. Sheriff Mickey Stines is now charged with first-degree murder, and everyone is still asking the one big question. Why? Tonight, new information connected to the judge's phone, which the sheriff called his daughter from just before opening fire. What does this new information reveal about the judge and the sheriff? I'm Vinny Politan. Thank you so much for joining us tonight here on Closing Arguments. This story, it's one big question. It's one huge question that has not been answered yet. I'm talking about the judge and the sheriff in Kentucky. Why was he killed? Why was the judge killed? Hunted, shot multiple times from 3 different places as the judge was hiding for cover in all of this. There is no doubt when you watch the video that it's clear that the sheriff wanted the judge dead. He's about to exit the chambers and sees the judge is still crawling, so he goes back to fire his gun again. So from the beginning, there have been stories, there have been rumors, there's been a lot, there have been descriptions of this video before the video even came out. But the one thing that's sort of in the center of all of it is the phone. The phone. Is the answer to that question connected to his phone? And when I say his phone, I mean the judge's phone. The phone you're looking at right here that was on the judge's desk. Does that reveal the answer to that question? Now, I would think that the sheriff himself could answer that question, I think. But he's not going to tell prosecutors. I don't think he's going to tell prosecutors. But it seems that is the focal point, because the sheriff is calling his daughter from that phone. Two phones, calls from his own phone, gets the judge's phone, and calls his daughter from the judge's phone. And then it's after that that the phone is put on the desk, the sheriff stands up, he confronts the judge, he draws his weapon, and he hunts down and kills the judge inside the chambers. That's the way this played out. Now, we have not seen the video preceding the confrontation. It exists. Prosecutors didn't want to show it in court, didn't want the defense to ask questions about it, perhaps didn't want the public to see it. I'm not sure. They didn't need it for that hearing, so they didn't show it, but it exists. And it's a big part of the story. Like, what led up to the judge standing, to the sheriff standing up and pulling his gun out? We don't know. We had a little bit of testimony. And it was on cross-examination, not direct, when Clayton Stamper, the detective from the Kentucky State Police, who knew as little as he possibly could know about the case before testifying. He's the case agent. He's like the lead investigator that's going to put together and coordinate all the pieces of this case. But at the point that he was testifying in court, knew very little, just what, I think someone told me this, someone told me that. Very, very, very limited. But here he is talking about the sheriff using the judge's phone. Take a close listen to the exact words that are used in the question and in the answer.
I was told that Sheriff Stines had tried to call his daughter, and he had tried to call his daughter from the judge's phone also.
So, have you obtained the phone records from Judge Mullins' phone?
I don't have those in my possession yet, no.
Okay. Have you issued a search warrant for them?
Yes.
Okay. And have officers confirmed that the sheriff's daughter's phone number was on Judge Mullins' phone?
Yes, I believe so, yes.
So that number had been called from Judge Mullins' phone?
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, how do you interpret that? What does that mean to you? Like, when someone says, your number is in my phone, I interpret that very simply. Like, if your number's in my phone, that means you're in my contacts, right? Because I've called you before, I may call you again. You know, I made you one of my contacts. I'm gonna call you because your number's in my phone. And I think that's the way all of us interpreted that. And then everyone's like, ooh, why would a teenage girl, the sheriff's daughter's phone number, be in the judge's phone? He's a grown man. Why would he have the sheriff's teenage daughter's number in his phone? It was creepy, and the rumors locally all over the place. You know what you're thinking when you put those facts together. And then you hear what the defense is saying. The defense attorney spoke to People magazine and talked about this was a heat of passion case. Heat of passion. Extreme emotional disturbance. It wasn't planned. Okay, I put those pieces together. The sheriff's teenage daughter's phone number's in the judge's phone. He's got the judge's phone. He's calling his daughter. Heat of passion, emotional disturbance. You can put two and two together, right? Not so fast. Sometimes 2 + 2 doesn't equal 4. The Mountain Eagle Report, one of the local papers out there, digging in on this case. Take a look at what they are reporting on this exact issue. Let's put it up there. 2 law enforcement sources have confirmed that former Sheriff Shawn Stines did not select his daughter's number from a pre-saved list on District Judge Kevin Mullins' phone when he called her just prior to killing the judge. Both say Stines dialed the number before he shot Mullins multiple times in the judge's chambers behind the Letcher District Courtroom. Again, I think now I'm reading this, right? I'm reading this to say, okay, did not select his daughter's number from a pre-saved list. So the daughter's phone number wasn't in the judge's phone. It was just there when investigators got it because the sheriff had dialed it from the phone. Is that what they mean happened here? Because if so, then that's a big nothing. Like that doesn't insinuate anything connecting the judge and the sheriff's daughter. Strange. What does this mean? I need help. Well, you know that. Let's bring in our think tank tonight. Joining us, criminal defense attorney Eklund Mercy. Also with us, criminal defense investigator Charles Middlestat, and the president of the West Coast Trial Lawyers and former federal prosecutor Nima Rahmani. Great to see everyone tonight. Eklund, all of a sudden, this is a completely different interpretation, but he's still dialing his daughter just before standing up, drawing his weapon, and shooting the judge. But it doesn't look like, unless I'm misinterpreting the Mountain Eagle, I mean, it's possible, but I don't think I am, the daughter's number isn't actually saved in the judge's phone.
You know, I'm going to preface this by saying I'm not a prosecutor, never been, right? But I think that it actually kind of goes to premeditation. I think that he was actually going to set the judge up by calling his daughter, by being a member of law enforcement, and then calling the daughter from that phone. You're essentially kind of just setting up for, voluntary manslaughter. And I think that that's it. it looks like that. I think that it was.
You think
him
he's
trying
covering
to
his tracks? Okay, that's a fair
Absolutely.
interpretation. Charles
Yep.
Middlestat, how are you looking at this? What is the connection here of this phone?
So I understand the initial sort of significance to the actual presence of the daughter's contact being in there, or her number even appearing on the call history. But honestly, I don't think it changes anything in the absence thereof, because if, depending upon how she responds to a call from the judge's phone, that may be is revealing, if not more revealing, as to the nature of a potential relationship between the two of them in the absence of her number even being in the contact. If the sheriff makes a call from the judge's phone and his daughter says, "Hey, sweetie," or whatever that the answer may have been, however she may have received that call, that can be as revealing, if not more revealing, than the presence of her number being saved as a contact itself. So I don't necessarily, it doesn't change, for me, the likelihood that there is some direct correlation between the judge and his daughter and some sort of insinuation that there might have been some sort of relationship there that he was uncomfortable with, something there that was the trigger for what ultimately became a very heinous murder. And that is, I think, that would be sort of responsive to the defense's contention that this was a heat of passion crime, that this was an emotional disturbance in the moment, and would be consistent with being triggered on that level by something very, very disturbing, like learning something like that.
Now, I'm going to read again from the Mountain Eagle report. A defense attorney for Stines asked during a preliminary hearing last week if the daughter's number was on the phone, a question to which the detective replied yes. While many have interpreted that to mean the number was saved, two separate law enforcement officials with knowledge of what happened said that's not the case. One who asked not to be identified said a security video taken from a camera mounted behind Stines near the ceiling shows Stines punched in the numbers to dial. The other Kentucky State Police spokesman, Trooper Matt Gayhart, confirmed the number was dialed and said he knew when the question was asked in the way that it was that the answer would be misinterpreted. This kind of got taken out of context. Mickey had dialed his daughter's number from the judge's phone. It wasn't in there already, as far as we know. From the preliminary examination we got to do, Mickey dialed the number. But there's more, Nima Rahmani. As you take a look at the video of the shooting, that phone is on the desk. And as you zoom in on the phone, you'll see that something happens. Someone is calling the phone. It just lit up. Watch, it'll light up. This is after the second set of shots are fired, which is just perhaps seconds after it was called, the phone lights up. I want to know who's calling, Nima, because to me, did the sheriff connect with his daughter on the judge's phone? Did he leave a message? Did he just hang up? Did the daughter call back? And to me, that could answer that question why, which still has not been answered.
Well, it could have been, and the phone is everything, but obviously there's a lot more than the phone. These two went to lunch right before the shooting. Apparently, the judge says, "Do you want to have a private conversation in our chambers?" The phone calls happen. And like you said, what's the issue with the phone is, and we know when Stines is arrested, he reportedly says they're trying to kidnap my wife and daughter. So that's what's being reported. So there's clearly something going on with Stines and his family, and he thinks the judge is involved. Now, is this just defense attorney posturing to set up a manslaughter defense because it's the only defense in the case? Because there's certainly no self-defense. Can't say it wasn't me, I didn't do it.
I would not rule out a mental disease or defect potentially if in his mind he believes there is some plot to kidnap his family, and he thinks the judge is somehow leading all of this and going through some mental breakdown, but we don't have evidence of that, but I think that's still on the table. But you mentioned lunchtime, Nima. I'm glad you did. Here's the detective talking about some text messages that were discussed at lunch.
There was one other phone that's currently being examined, and the basic reason it was seized was there was a text conversation between Sheriff Stines and some of his employees with the sheriff's office.
Okay, and that was an additional phone of Sheriff Stines.
It was a phone of, I guess she's the, I don't know what her title is, but she's employed. She's not sworn. She's employed by the Letcher County Sheriff's Office. And she voluntarily gave her phone to the person that interviewed her.
Okay, and just out of curiosity, could you explain why that was relevant or germane to your investigation?
I didn't conduct that interview, but it was, I guess it was regarding the dinner at Streetside and things that led up to the shooting. But I don't have those results either, so I don't know exactly what was said.
Eklund, I started saying 2 + 2 = 4. This is getting much more complicated. We're doing beyond algebra. I think we're into like calculus at this point. What this conversation, so there's a text chain between the sheriff and people from his office that prosecutors now have that was a text conversation about what happened at lunch. And the woman who works for him, who had it on her phone, thought it was important enough that she volunteered to give it to investigators. There's something, I don't know what this could be. I just don't know at this point.
The issue is that unfortunately everybody's biased. If this was anybody else, if it was not a sheriff, he would have already been pleading because we have videotape. But the problem is we do have law enforcement who is the defense, who is the defendant. And we do have sympathetic people who worked with him, who know his family, who knows what's going on. So it's going to be hard. The simple fact that we don't know about the text messages, if it was going to a daughter or something like that, if it was anybody else, we'd have been had the text messages, we'd have already had what time it came in and all of this. But because we have law enforcement as a defendant, it seems like everything is stalled, and suddenly we understand what probable cause is, and reasonable suspicion, and all these other things. But we now is, let's just investigate, make sure we have 100%. So I think that with regards to this, it's being prolonged because of who the defendant actually
Gotcha.
is.
All right. Wow, what a case. All right,